Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. So, this happened yesterday, and I am still confused and shocked about the whole situation. My brother was about to get married in less than 2 hours, and because I was from the groom's side, I was checking up on the last minute arrangements to be sure that everyone was seated where they were supposed to and no one was getting drunk enough to mess up the wedding. I was really happy for my brother, especially after I met the girl he was going to marry. He introduced me to her last year, and from the first moment, I fell in love with her. She was the perfect partner for my brother, who is very high maintenance, to be honest. They both just clicked, and anyone who looked at them would say they are a couple. Over the last year, I met my to be sister in law a lot, and we got close. I was heavily involved in the arrangements for when my brother decided to propose to her, and even now, I was the person my brother most relied on to help him with the wedding planning. So I was just doing whatever I could to make sure everything went smoothly when my mom told me to go check up on the bride and the groom. I went to look for my brother first, and when I saw him fully dressed and ready with a big smile, I couldn't help but laugh at his eager expression. It was almost like a dog when they got really excited. The pure joy on his face was something I wanted to protect forever. But of course, instead of praising him, I teased him about it. I told him that everyone is ready and he should go out in about 30 minutes. Then I left to check on the bride. When I reached her room, I saw that she was still not wearing her dress. That was surprising considering how little time was left for the wedding. I asked her what's wrong and why isn't she getting ready, and she said that she's having an anxiety attack. She said that it's just nerves and would pass in a moment. The good thing was that her hair and makeup was done and the dress was one of those you zip all the way up, so it was okay to get it on at the last. I tried to hold her hand for a while and just told her that it's all going to be over soon and she should focus on the new beginning after she gets through the ceremony. She took a few deep breaths and asked me if I could get some water. I went outside to grab a bottle of water for her, and while I was returning, I saw her walking away from the venue. Now, there could have been a dozen reasons why someone would go outside on their wedding day, but I already knew she was having cold feet, so just in case she was running away because of nerves, I ran after her. She was out of the hotel by the time I caught sight of her and followed her. But what I saw on catching up with her shocked me. She went through the basement exit to avoid any incoming guests, and there was a man waiting for her. When she reached him, she threw herself in his arms. For a minute, my brain tried to rationalize the situation by making excuses like it must be a friend or something. But when they kissed each other, it was pretty clear what was happening. I was furious that she would do something like that to my brother. I went and pulled her away from the guy, and that's when I realized who it was. I have seen the man before at her bachelorette party. He was the person who owned the place where her party was organized, and now I understood why. And the sudden realization knocked me off. I asked her how long she had been cheating on my brother. But instead of replying to me, she started blabbering about how it's not what I'm thinking and that she isn't cheating on my brother. I laughed at her joke. How could she deny what just happened straight to my face? I told her I saw her kiss the guy, and there's no way that was an innocent mistake. She started crying and talking about how she wasn't running away with this man and only came here to say goodbye. She said that she had been involved with this person before she met my brother, and even after their breakup, they had been friends. But now that she was getting married, she wanted a clean break from her past. And that's why she told him that they can't be in each other's life anymore. The bachelor party venue was something he did to show her that he's perfectly fine with her marrying another guy and that it was a goodbye gift. And now he just came to say a final goodbye because I didn't invite him to the wedding. She was just about to meet him and send him on his way when he kissed her out of nowhere. At this point, she was a crying mess. But no amount of excuses could make me believe that it wasn't something to be concerned about. And that's why I told her that if she's so innocent, she should tell my brother about this encounter. But before I could go back, she grabbed my hand and begged me to not do that right then. She said that it'll ruin his happiness and the whole wedding. She begged me to just let it go and that she would tell him the next day after the wedding. I didn't believe her, even for a minute. But when I thought about the happy face of my brother and how excited he was, I couldn't help but hope to God that even if it's dumb of me to ignore what just happened, at least the love my to-be sister-in-law had for my brother wasn't all fake. I decided to give her a chance in the hopes that it would save my brother from a lot of embarrassment and that they'll be able to figure it out after marriage. But now that the wedding is over, I don't know if she told him anything. I feel like shit right now about the choice I made, and I'm doubting not telling him before his wedding. AITA for what I did to my brother? Should I just talk to him now? I couldn't sit anymore, and the thought that my sister-in-law hadn't told my brother the truth was killing me. Their honeymoon was supposed to be 2 weeks long, and I wasn't able to contact my brother as he was in Italy at the moment. I didn't think that what I wanted to ask was something I should do over a text message. Instead, I texted my sister-in-law asking her if she came clean to my brother, but she ignored all my texts. I am seriously doubting my decisions now, and I even contemplated talking to my mom about it. But in the end, I didn't tell her because it wouldn't help at all and would only make her worry too. My brother is coming home in 2 days, and the first thing I'll do is to go over and see how things have been between him and his wife. If it felt like he still didn't know about anything, I'll tell him everything. I'll update you guys once I know what was happening. So, like I promised, here's the update. I went over to my brother's house yesterday and he was surprised to see me. I told him that I would have just called, but I wanted to see him, so I just came over without notifying. He said it's all fine and let me in. My sister-in-law was also there, but sleeping. And by how happy my brother was sounding, it didn't look like he knew about what had happened. Either that, or he did know and they talked about it and now everything was fine. But if he had known, there was no way he was just going to smile and welcome me in without mentioning the topic, as I was the person who caught sister-in-law. And of course, she would have mentioned me. Maybe I was too self-centered to think like that, but without any outside help, I could only rely on my brain to gauge the situation. When my brother just chit-chatted about places he visited and the absolute time of his life he had in Italy, I couldn't help it anymore, and I ended up blurting out the question that was on my mind. I asked him if sister-in-law had told him anything after the wedding that might have caused a little trouble in his paradise. But his face was puzzled, and he asked what I was talking about. I took a deep breath and decided to be straight about it instead of going around in circles. After all, he needed to know, and if he already knew, we could just brush the whole situation away. So I told him everything that I saw just before his wedding, and even about the part where the bachelorette was held at that guy's place. He knew that during the bachelorette we stayed at the guest house for 3 days and nights, so there was no need to clarify why that piece of information was vital. And of course, his reaction was of absolute shock. So my sister-in-law hadn't told me anything. I regret being so blunt and not cushioning the blow, but what was done couldn't be helped. I told him about the explanation she gave me before the wedding and why I held back the information. After the shock passed, my brother got angry at me for not telling him about this before. His anger was justified, and I didn't think an apology would make up for it. So I let him take it all out on me. Soon after, he asked me to leave so he could talk to his wife. I don't know what happened after that, but I'll update as soon as I find out. I know it's been 2 months since I posted my last update, but it's been a tough time. I found out about a week later that my brother agreed to work things out with his wife, who begged him not to leave and just give them a chance. She said that she never cheated on him, but of course it would be hard to trust her. After about a month, it was clear that their marriage wasn't going to work out. My brother moved in with me for a while, and they decided to get an annulment. The paperwork was finalized about 2 weeks ago. For the last month, he was living with me. After the initial anger, he was too exhausted emotionally to blame me anymore. He moved out of my house yesterday after finding himself a new apartment. I'll keep checking up on him, and I hope that he'll be able to heal from this. YTA, of course you're the a-hole here, along with that sister-in-law, because you should have told your brother the truth. Even if he was going to be embarrassed in front of the whole family, he had a right to decide if that woman was the right person to spend the rest of his life with. NTA, you are not to be blamed. I do think that hiding the truth was the wrong move, but you were also put in a difficult spot. There was no easy choice, and you didn't have enough time to think about the consequences in each situation. It was the sister-in-law that is to be blamed, and you should just try to make up for your mistake and tell him the truth now. I, 36 female, became a mother after years of believing it would never happen for me. In my 20s, my husband and I tried to become parents, and I suffered several miscarriages that led to an OB and fertility specialist telling us it would not happen for us. It broke my heart. The worst part of it was my sister was extremely fertile and had many children in that time. Sometimes I would come back from having a miscarriage to have her saying that she needed me to babysit her kids so she could do this or that. She would know what was after happening too. But she either didn't care or wanted to push her kids as healing my pain. There were times we would argue because I would avoid certain family celebrations immediately after my miscarriages, and she would tell me I was being unfair and selfish. I never wanted to cause my parents any pain, so I just endured it, much to my husband's frustration. He and my sister hate each other over this. He once told her that she was evil to me, and as far as he was concerned, she wasn't worth the effort I put into my relationship with her. She was outraged by that and accused him of also taking our miscarriages out on everyone else. I told her to leave him alone, that it was me she needed to say stuff to. But he knows how much it broke me to have motherhood taken from me. And then we got a shock 5 months ago. I'd been having some weird symptoms, and my OB told me it was likely early menopause, since Black women are far more likely to go into early menopause. My husband didn't quite like what she was saying, so we found another OB when nothing else really happened, and that's where we learned I was already 5 months pregnant. It was not something we ever expected to happen for us, but we were overjoyed. My sister then decided it was time to call us, selfish for having a baby when all his cousins would be much older and he would be the odd one out in the family. She also told me I was too old. To think of the impact on my son. All kinds of stuff. My parents were angry at her because, as far as they knew, she had always been supportive, and then she turned when something good finally happened. My husband and I agreed to be done with her after that. My son was born almost 2 months ago. He is definitely going to be our only child after the delivery experience I had with him. My husband and I are not at all religious, but we both have religious families, so a compromise was to have a small naming ceremony where we just basically throw a party and put his name on balloons and banners and celebrate his arrival. We decided not to invite my sister. She did not like that, and neither did some of my other family members, who say we as Black people do not discard family like others do, and she is claiming I am being unfair and that my son deserves to know his aunt and cousins. I feel bad about this drama, but I don't want to deal with her anymore. AITA? NTA, your child, your choice. She has been nothing but mean up to now. At first disregarding your pain and then telling you were too old for a baby and selfish. No one would want a person like that in their lives. Why is she so bitter and mean-spirited? If you and your husband both agreed you want to cut contact with her, stick to it. Explain to family everything that happened after your miscarriages, what she said to you and to your husband. Then remind everyone what she told when you finally managed to have a baby. Let's see how well she plays the victim then. If your family still wants to force her presence at your party, they stay home with her. NTA and your sister is clearly jealous. 36 is actually a fairly common age to have children. Women are waiting until later to have children. She was never supportive of you and said very cruel and unfair things about your child. Why would you want that negativity around such a special event? Enjoy your and your child's day. You both deserve happiness, love, and joy. I, female 20, live around 3 hours away from my family with my boyfriend while I go to school. My older brother, male 26, has a wife, Kelly, 25, who gave birth to their second baby 4 weeks ago. I planned in advance with my brother and Kelly for me to come home and visit them and the new baby for last Thursday. The week before my planned visit, Kelly posted wish lists of things she wants people to buy the baby all over Facebook. I personally thought this was tacky, as Kelly already had a baby shower prior to the birth. And in our country, baby showers are not the cultural norm. The parents are expected to buy everything the baby needs, and close family members buy little extras: outfits, accessories, toys, etc., and gifts for the mother after the baby has been born. Not only that, but all of the gifts on the wish list were expensive. The cheapest gift there was $60. Kelly put a passive-aggressive note at the bottom of the post saying that anyone wanting to visit the baby must bring a gift off the wish list, saying that it takes a village. I decided to ignore it since Kelly knows I'm a student who doesn't have a lot of money. Plus, I already bought a gift for the baby shower, 3 sets of outfits and a blanket. When I actually arrived at their home on Thursday, I had brought a bouquet of flowers for Kelly. My brother was at work, but some of Kelly's extended family were there. Kelly seemed pleased with the flowers, but clearly looked disappointed when she realized I hadn't brought anything else. She stared at me blankly and asked if I even saw the wish list. I was taken aback, but told Kelly I couldn't afford anything there. Kelly went on a rant about how she should be appreciated more for bringing life into the world and said that she'll make an allowance for me. She said I can make up for it by doing at least 3 hours of housework for them instead. I told Kelly no and said that's a ridiculous request. I said if she doesn't want me to visit, then I'll gladly leave. Kelly started raising her voice at me and said I'm insensitive towards women who've just had a baby. I lost my cool a bit and yelled at Kelly to piss off and said she's a self-righteous brat and that I don't owe her shit before leaving. Kelly was crying and her family members were shocked. My brother thinks I went way over the top and that I should apologize to Kelly for yelling at her and calling her a brat. AITA? NTA, why would anyone expect a gift to come to see the baby? Hell, she may as well be asking people for a cover charge to come see the child. You had already given her a gift, so I would have informed her, hey, did you forget I gave you a gift already? I don't have money to shell out every time I want to come see the baby. Her being appreciated for bringing a life into the world was her choice. No one forced her to do this. I mean, your words may have been harsh, but it was also the truth. Next time, just play dumb and say, sorry, I don't get on Facebook that much. I keep in touch off the internet with people I'm close to. NTA, having a baby is not an excuse to act like an entitled jerk. She didn't have a right to expect anything from you, especially when you already bought several gifts and brought flowers. I've heard people say it's tacky to even have a shower for your second child because you presumably have most of the big items already. I disagree. A second baby shower is fine, but expecting gifts from anyone isn't.